When billionaire Alexander Chin pretends to be paralyzed to test his gold-digging fiancée, he never expects his humble maid Sophia to show him what true love really means, or that his cruel game will change 3 lives forever. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching, also like and subscribe for more stories. Alexander Chin sat in his wheelchair on the terrace of his mansion, looking out at the ocean. To everyone around him, he was a man broken by a terrible accident. But it was all a lie. 3 months ago, Alexander had been in a car crash. For 2 weeks, doctors thought he might never walk again. During those dark days, he watched how people treated him. His business partners spoke to him like a child. His friends stopped calling. But worst of all was Victoria, his fiancée. Victoria Blackwell was beautiful, rich, and came from old money. They had been engaged for 6 months when the accident happened. At first she seemed caring. She visited the hospital every day, brought flowers, and held his hand. But Alexander noticed things. Small things. When doctors said he might be paralyzed forever, Victoria's smile became forced. Her visits got shorter. She stopped planning their wedding. She made excuses to avoid being alone with him. Then came the miracle. After 2 weeks, Alexander could move his legs again. The doctors were amazed. But Alexander had an idea. A test. "I want to see who really loves me," he told his doctor, Dr. Martinez, in private. "Can you help me pretend I'm still paralyzed?" Dr. Martinez was shocked. "Alexander, that's not right. You can't lie to people like that." "Just for a few months," Alexander begged. "I need to know if Victoria loves me or my money and status. If she leaves me, I'll know she's not the right woman to marry." Against his better judgment, Dr. Martinez agreed to help. They would tell everyone that Alexander had some feeling in his legs but couldn't walk. He would need a wheelchair for the rest of his life. The plan worked too well. Sofia Reyes had worked as a maid in the Chin mansion for 2 years. She was 28 years old, from Mexico, and sent most of her salary home to her sick mother and younger brothers. She was quiet, hardworking, and invisible to most people in Alexander's world. But after the accident, everything changed. While Victoria made excuses to leave early, Sofia stayed late to help Alexander. While his friends treated him differently, Sofia treated him exactly the same as before. She didn't speak to him much. He was her boss after all, but her actions spoke louder than words. Every morning, Sofia brought Alexander his coffee exactly how he liked it. She helped him dress without making him feel helpless. When he dropped things, she picked them up without sighing or acting annoyed. When he had trouble reaching something, she quietly moved it closer without being asked. "You don't have to do all this," Alexander told her one morning as she arranged his breakfast. "The other staff can help me." Sofia looked up from cutting his fruit. Her dark eyes were kind but serious. "Mr. Chin, everyone deserves to be treated with dignity. Accident or no accident, you are still a good man." Alexander felt something stir in his chest. When was the last time someone called him a good man? In his business world, people called him smart, ruthless, successful. But good? Never. As weeks passed, Victoria's mask began to slip completely. "I can't do this anymore, Alex," she said one evening during dinner. They were alone in the dining room while Sofia served them quietly. "Do what?" Alexander asked, though he knew what was coming. This whole situation. I'm 29 years old. I want children, a normal life. I can't be a caretaker for the rest of my life." Alexander watched Sofia's face in the reflection of the window. The maid had stopped moving, listening to every word. "I see," Alexander said calmly. "So if I can't walk, you don't want to marry me?" "It's not that simple," Victoria said, but her voice was sharp. "I fell in love with Alexander Chin, the powerful businessman who could dance with me at parties and travel the world. Not this." She gestured at his wheelchair with disgust. "I think I should go," Victoria continued. "Maybe we can try again in a few months if you get better. But I can't waste my best years waiting for something that might never happen." After Victoria left that night, Alexander sat alone in his study. He should have felt vindicated. His test had worked. He had discovered Victoria's true nature before making the biggest mistake of his life. But instead he felt empty and sad. Sofia knocked softly on the door. "Mr. Chin? You missed dinner. I saved you a plate." "I'm not hungry," he said. Sofia came in anyway, carrying a tray. "My grandmother used to say that broken hearts need food to heal." Alexander looked up at her in surprise. "Broken heart." Sofia set the tray down and looked at him with gentle eyes. "Miss Victoria was not right for you, Mr. Chin. A person who loves you doesn't leave when things get hard. They stay and fight with you." "How do you know about love?" Alexander asked, not meaning to sound rude. Are you married? Sophia shook her head. No, but I watched my father care for my mother when she got sick. He worked 3 jobs, sold everything we had, and never once complained. That is love. Not the pretty words people say when life is easy. That night, Alexander couldn't sleep. He thought about Sophia's words. He thought about his father, who had built their fortune from nothing. He thought about the kind of man he wanted to be. 2 weeks later, Victoria came back. Alex, darling, she called out as she walked into the mansion. I have wonderful news. Alexander was in the living room with Sophia, who was helping him with some business papers. Victoria burst in wearing a designer dress and a bright smile. I just spoke to Dr. Martinez, Victoria announced. He says you're making amazing progress. You might walk again soon. Alexander frowned. He hadn't seen Dr. Martinez in days. What are you talking about? Victoria's smile faltered for just a second. Well, I called his office and maybe I misunderstood. But I've been thinking, Alex, I was wrong to leave. I want to try again. We can make this work. Sophia quietly gathered the papers and started to leave the room. Wait, Alexander said. Sophia, please stay. I want you to hear this too. Victoria looked annoyed. Why does the maid need to be here? Because, Alexander said, Sophia has been more loyal to me in these past months than you were in 6 years. Alex, that's not fair. Isn't it? Alexander's voice grew stronger. Sophia didn't leave when things got hard. She didn't make me feel like a burden. She didn't treat me like I was less of a man because I couldn't walk. Victoria's face turned red. She's the help, Alex. It's her job to take care of you. No, Sophia said quietly. Taking care of Mr. Chen's needs is my job. Caring about him as a person is my choice. Alexander looked at Sophia with new eyes. This woman, who earned in a month what he spent on lunch, had more grace and dignity than anyone in his wealthy circle. Victoria, Alexander said, I think you should leave. Our engagement is over. Victoria's mouth fell open. You're choosing a maid over me? I'm choosing honesty over lies. Kindness over selfishness. Love over money. After Victoria stormed out, Alexander and Sophia sat in silence. Mr. Chen, Sophia finally said, I should probably look for another job. Why? Because things will be awkward now. You need someone who can take care of you without complications. Alexander took a deep breath. It was time for the truth. Sophia, I need to tell you something. Something I'm not proud of. He told her everything. The fake paralysis, the test, the lies. He watched her face change from confusion to shock to disappointment. You've been lying this whole time? She asked. Yes. You can walk. Yes. Sophia stood up and walked to the window. For a long time she said nothing. Why are you telling me now? She finally asked. Because I can't lie to you anymore. Because you've shown me what real love looks like, and I don't want to build anything on a foundation of lies. Sophia turned around. Her eyes were sad but not angry. Mr. Chin, I understand why you did it. Rich people have to worry about gold diggers and fake friends. But you hurt good people too. Dr. Martinez feels terrible about lying. Your business partners think you're weak. Your employees walk on eggshells around you. Alexander hung his head. She was right. But the worst part, Sophia continued, is that you hurt yourself. You spent months pretending to be disabled, thinking it would show you who really cared. But you missed something important. What? People didn't treat you differently because they stopped caring. They treated you differently because they were scared and didn't know how to help. Love isn't just about staying when things are hard. Sometimes love means giving people space to figure things out. Alexander felt tears in his eyes. So everyone who acted strange around me, they weren't necessarily bad people? Some were, like Miss Victoria. But others? They just needed time to learn. You never gave them that chance. The next day, Alexander called Dr. Martinez to his house. Doc, I want to end this charade. Today. Dr. Martinez looked relieved. Thank God. This has been eating me alive. I want to tell everyone the truth. My business partners, my employees, everyone. What about Miss Sophia? Dr. Martinez asked. Are you going to fire her? Alexander looked surprised. Fire her? Why would I fire her? Because she knows your secret now. Because things might be awkward. Actually, Alexander said, I was hoping she might consider a promotion. That afternoon, Alexander gathered his entire household staff. Butlers, gardeners, cooks, drivers, maids, everyone. I owe you all an apology, he began. For the past 3 months I've been lying to you. He told them the truth. Some looked shocked, others looked hurt, a few looked angry. I understand if you want to quit, Alexander said. But I hope you'll give me a chance to make things right. Starting today, everyone gets a raise. Not because I feel guilty, but because you've all shown me loyalty and kindness that I didn't deserve. One by one, the staff came to shake his hand. Some cried, some laughed, but all of them stayed. Sophia was the last to approach him. Mr. Chin, she said formally. Please call me Alexander. Alexander, I need to give you my notice. His heart sank. Why? Because I can't work for you anymore knowing what I know. Alexander nodded sadly. He had been afraid of this. But, Sophia continued with a small smile, I might consider working with you instead of for you. What do you mean? You said something about a promotion? 6 months later, Sophia Reyes was no longer a maid. She was Alexander's business partner, running the charitable foundation he had started. Her first project was building a medical clinic in her hometown in Mexico. You know, Alexander said as they toured the construction site, I never properly thanked you. For what? Sophia asked, checking her clipboard. For showing me that love isn't about passing tests or proving worth. It's about choosing to care for someone every day, even when it's hard. Sophia smiled. My grandmother had another saying, the heart sees what the eyes miss. You were so busy testing people that you almost missed the most important thing. What's that? That the person who loved you most was right there all along, bringing you coffee and treating you with dignity when everyone else saw only what you couldn't do. Alexander reached for her hand. Sophia, I need to ask you something. She looked at him with those same kind, dark eyes that had comforted him during his darkest charade. Will you marry me? Not because I'm rich, not because I can walk, but because somehow, in the middle of my foolish game, we found something real. Sophia laughed. Alexander Chin, are you proposing to me in the middle of a construction site? I'm proposing to you in the place where we're building something beautiful together. It seemed fitting. She kissed him softly. Yes, but next time maybe choose somewhere without so much dust. A year later, they were married in a simple ceremony at the mansion. Dr. Martinez was Alexander's best man. Sophia's mother, now healthy thanks to the medical care Alexander had arranged, walked her daughter down the aisle. Victoria sent a wedding gift, an expensive vase, with a note that said, Congratulations on finding what you were looking for. The staff, who had all received raises and better benefits, stayed late to celebrate with their boss and his new wife. As Alexander and Sophia danced their first dance as husband and wife, he whispered in her ear, No more tests, no more games. Just truth from now on. Good, Sophia whispered back, because I was never very good at games anyway. But I'm excellent at love. 5 years later, Alexander and Sophia Chin sat on the same terrace where his deception had begun. Their 3-year-old daughter, Elena, played nearby while their newborn son slept in Sophia's arms. Do you ever regret it? Sophia asked. The lying, the testing, all of it? Alexander thought for a moment. I regret hurting people. I regret wasting time on someone who didn't love me. But I can't regret the path that led me to you. Even though I was just the maid? Sophia teased. Especially because you were the maid. You saw me at my worst, lying, bitter, testing people like lab rats, and you still chose to love me. Sophia adjusted baby Michael in her arms. Love isn't about perfect people, Alexander. It's about imperfect people choosing to grow together. Elena ran up to them, dirt on her dress from playing in the garden. Mama, Papa, look, she said, holding up a small flower. It was broken, but it's still pretty. Alexander and Sophia looked at each other and smiled. Even broken things could be beautiful when they were loved and tended with care. As the sun set over the ocean, Alexander Chin knew he was the richest man in the world. Not because of his bank account, but because he had learned the difference between the love you buy and the love you earn. And the love you earn, he had discovered, was always worth more than gold. Years later, when people asked Sophia how she knew Alexander was the right man for her, she would smile and say, He was broken when I met him. Not his legs, his heart. But broken hearts, like broken bones, can heal stronger than before if you care for them properly. And when people asked Alexander how he knew Sophia was his true love, he would answer, She loved me when I gave her every reason not to. She saw the man I could become, not just the man I was. That's not something you can fake or test for. That's something you can only receive as a gift. The wheelchair still sat in their closet, a reminder of a time when Alexander thought love had to be proven instead of given freely. Sometimes Elena would play with it, not knowing the painful history behind it. What's this, Papa? She had asked once. It's something that taught me an important lesson, Alexander had replied. What lesson? Alexander had looked at Sophia, who was teaching their son his first words, and smiled. That real love doesn't need a test. It just needs a chance.